Yo, what is going on, guys? So I thought I might do a little bit of a different kind of episode today where I go back and do a video like I used to do on this channel where we cover a Reddit story. I've been thinking about covering some more stories recently, particularly some that you guys have sent me. I have an absolute stack of emails which I might get to. But I thought today I would cover this particularly interesting and absolutely hilarious Reddit story of a wife who demands an open relationship, excuse me, an open marriage, no less, from her husband. But in the end, she turns out to regret it, which of course is absolutely hilarious. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments, and let's take a listen. So the story goes, this is written by a dude on Reddit. Hello, all. Never once did I think that I would get to the point of reaching out to strangers on the internet for guidance, but here we are. My wife and I have been together for 10 years, but we have been married for 8 of those years. We met in college and we were each other's first and only. I honestly thought we had a unique and beautiful relationship because of that, but it appears that it was just me, right? So this guy thought that he met his princess, essentially, who didn't want to go out and hook up with a bunch of random men. And this is what this is what men want, really. They don't want a woman who's going to be for the streets and for absolutely everybody. They don't want a woman, excuse me, who has a high mileage, as it's been put. He says, some time ago, my wife began working at a new company. At first, she found it difficult to fit in because she's always been reserved, but after some encouragement from me, she made friends with a group of girls, some of whom were single, divorced, or dating, but not married. So let's just elaborate here for a second, guys. You know, I often bring up on this channel how a woman's single friends are essentially the undoing of a lot of their relationships, because what will happen is a woman will make some friends who are single, divorced, dating. Basically, they can't get a relationship out of men that they want, and so these women will befriend these women, and then they will try and make that new friend single, right? I've actually heard from a lot of women on this channel as well, guys, who maybe if you're one of the 3 women who watch this channel and you're married or something like this, chances are you've probably had some quote-unquote friends over the years, excuse me, who try and break up your marriage and things like this. Women are always kind of pushed to listen to, they always have an inclination to listen to their friends. And a lot of their friends give them absolutely terrible advice. They're always encouraging them to break up with their boyfriends, break up with their husbands, things like this, right? So this woman went to work at this new company, the wife that is. She made a bunch of friends over there, and these friends are, of course, unsuccessful at dating women, divorced, single, out there on the dating apps. It sounds like just losers at the game of dating, as it were, which, as we all know, guys, if you're a woman and you are struggling to date, that's on you. That is absolutely on you. So let's continue. He says, at first I was happy she made some friends, but then she started going out for drinks, partying, or something other thing her friends had planned, right? So, excuse me, it's written a little bit weirdly here. So basically she starts going partying, she starts going out for drinks, things like this. And this is those single friends, right? Saying, hey, you should come out for drinks. You should come to this. You should come to that. And before you know it, one thing leads to another. She starts meeting dudes and she feels as though she can do better. So let's keep going. I became concerned by her change in behavior and tried to talk to her about it, but at the same time, I didn't want to restrict her in any way, apparently. It started to affect our relationship in the bedroom. My wife wasn't one to initiate intimacy, but with her continued going out, she was either too tired or wasn't in the mood. Okay, so number one, this guy is afraid to restrict his wife. I'm sorry, but if your wife is out there partying and drinking, she isn't your wife, okay? It's always strange to me, man. Men are just so scared to say the word no to their wives or girlfriends, right? But, you know, sometimes you have to say no, and if she can't accept that, then, hey, she has to kind of hit the road, right? If you go to your wife and you have to try and convince her to stop partying, I mean, that's just she's just lost, man. Okay. Yeah, so he didn't want to restrict her, right? Because marriages shouldn't have any boundaries, right, guys? So she doesn't want to do any intimacy anymore at all. Again, see you later, right? Let's continue. It says, so she was too tired or often wasn't in the mood. At some point, her company got a new manager who my wife and her friends had taken a shining to. Enter the Giga Chad. She began mentioning him in passing, but it got to a point where pointing how he handled certain problems that didn't seem to be work related. I questioned her on her interest with this man, and she brushed off my concerns. She even started asking if I regretted not having more experience with women, to which I said no because she is all I ever needed. I swore, I thought for a moment. I saw a flash of sadness in her eyes, but she quickly changed the subject. Yeah, so this new guy came in, this manager who all the women like. She's talking about him all the time, but insists that it's absolutely nothing. And she starts asking him, "Hey, have you ever had an interest in women outside of this relationship?" And the guy says, "Of course, no, because he's married." Right? Like he obviously the guy is going to say no. If the guy is not going to be married to you and be like, "Yeah, of course, I take a shining to women, of course." This is not how this works, right? The dude understands loyalty. She obviously doesn't. So she was sad when he said, "No, you're all I need." So obviously she's lining up to try and hook up with this manager guy. So the story goes on. She started mentioning open marriages as a way to spice up our marriage. I was taken back because my wife was never this kind of person and not that liberal, to be honest, shall we say. I at first refused and questioned if this had anything to do with the new manager, to which she denied, but said she felt like she quote unquote missed out. This is the part where you throw out the whole wife, my man. This isn't a wife, this is a 304 in disguise. This woman is talking about how she felt as though she missed out on hooking up with this manager, right? But at the same time, she didn't want to lose him, so this was a safer option. I warned her that she was playing with fire, and then I reluctantly, and naively agreed. So I have to stop this for a second here, guys, right? So the woman's saying that we have to do this and all of this kind of thing, and she didn't want to lose him. So essentially framing it like, listen, if you don't do this, then you're going to lose me. And the guy agreed. Now, I have to roast the man for a second here, guys. Why on earth men are out here agreeing to open marriages is absolutely beyond me. Men who agree to open relationships, you need to have a serious word with yourself as far as I'm concerned. These dudes have no self-respect. And to be honest, guys, like, I don't want to be friends with a dude who has an open relationship. I think it shows a complete and utter lack of self-boundaries. It shows that you don't respect yourself. If I can't trust a man to actually put down boundaries in his interpersonal relationships, I mean, I'll be honest, guys, I can't even trust the dude to play a video game with me. You see what I'm saying? Like, these dudes disgust me, right? Agreeing to have an open relationship with your wife, you need to have a serious word with yourself. So he agrees. And apparently they set some rules, mainly to not hook up with another person in our home. So for a year, his wife goes on dates. She has one-night stands. Then, as if I didn't see it coming, somehow is in some kind of relationship with that manager. Yeah. I, on the other hand, had a few dates, but no quote-unquote one-night stands because it felt wrong to me. My wife would ask if I was fine, but really wouldn't change her behavior. Yeah, I actually, you know, guys, I don't hold the woman accountable. Obviously, I think she's a disgusting woman, but this is just what she does, right? This is a person who's a snake. And so, to be honest, I can't be surprised when the snake bites you, to be honest, right? She's not going to change her behavior because she wants to hook up with random guys. But let's see how this progresses. At some point, I felt the love I had for her, that pure special innocence of marriage was gone, and it was killing me inside. I ended up going on a date with an amazing woman who migrated over from South Korea. What a surprise, a woman from a different country. Conversation was effortless. She had wit of a lightning-fast whip crack, and a smile that had one forget himself, apparently. This, of course, led to more dates until we were intimate. I honestly never had bedroom fun like I had with this particular woman, and I never knew a woman could be so giving and make one feel so desirable. So this dude, he meets a woman during their open marriage, which is crazy to me that that is even a thing. It shouldn't be. He meets another woman who, of course, is from a different country. What a surprise. She's probably not a Western modern woman. And this woman makes him feel desirable. Okay, and what have I said, guys? You know, these dudes, they will go where they're appreciated. If your woman, men go where they're appreciated, they go where they're respected, they go with women who make them feel like the king, to be honest with you, right? Dudes want to come home and they don't want to deal with a woman who, to be honest, makes them feel like crap, essentially. Right? No bedroom fun. You're paying all the bills for what? Your woman doesn't respect you. I mean, the guy is obviously going to go with a woman who respects him. He says, at first my wife thought it was cute, but as the months went by, she began questioning my relationship with her. I promptly pointed out that this was her idea, and even she was in a relationship with the manager that I was concerned about. She was silent. She looked like she wanted to say something, but she held her tongue. She began coming home early from work to surprise me with dinner and get the house extra clean. She started coming to my workplace to drop off lunch and began to initiate intimacy in the bedroom. What an absolute shocker, guys. So once this woman feels as though her relationship, her marriage with the man, is under assault by another woman, what does she do? Oh, all of a sudden, she starts to cook dinner. All of a sudden, she starts to make the house clean. All of a sudden, she begins to make him lunch and initiate intimacy in the bedroom. Right? This is what makes the man feel like the king in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So notice how she does all the things to keep the man now, but she wasn't doing these things before because she didn't give a damn. Right? She didn't care about the dude. She thought that no other man would, no other woman would want her man. And so she thought that she could just go out and hook up with guys and the husband would be a loser who no woman would want, right? But that wasn't the case. This guy, he met up with a woman from a different country. She was great. And she made him feel like the king. So now this woman, the wife, is trying to compete with her. Now she's making dinner. Now she's initiating intimacy and things like this, guys. This is what is referred to as competition anxiety. But as far as I'm concerned, it's too little, it's too late. Right? And this is what so many women fail to do in the first place, man. Right? They have, like, if you tell a modern woman these days that, hey, a way to keep a man is maybe make him some food, keep the house clean, and initiate intimacy, she's going to insult you and say, like, you're from the 1950s and you're awful and you're terrible. But deep down, guys, these women know how to keep a man. They know how to respect a man. They know how to make a man feel important. They just don't value their partners. They don't value their husbands and their boyfriends and things like this. But as soon as she starts to feel the fact that he's slipping away, now all of a sudden she does these things again. And guys, I want to emphasize this, okay? The reason why this woman is probably doing this as well is she doesn't want the man to leave. But the reason for that is because he's probably paying the bills and the majority of the house, right? He's probably a man who is a provider in a large capacity. That's why these women don't want to outright ditch their husbands in a lot of cases, right? It's not because they care about the husband or anything like this. They just don't want to have to pay the bills themselves. That's typically what it's all about. But let's continue with the story. So she began coming home early to surprise me with dinner and get the house extra clean. She started coming to my workplace to drop off lunch and began to initiate intimacy in the bedroom. Honestly, if it wasn't for her opening up our marriage, which I am also to blame for in agreeing, all of this would have had me jumping for joy. Yeah, he would have felt like the man. He would have felt like the king. But of course, she does this now as an effort to win him back over because she feels like she's losing in this situation. I barely gave into her attempts at intimacy, and when I did, it was simply to get it over with. Something in me towards my wife died, and I could see that she felt it too. I got asked what brought on this change in her, in behavior probably, what was different. The response I got was that she wants to show me that she loves me and is happy with me. This was worded a little bit poorly. I never intended to, but I burst out laughing. I asked her about her little group of friends, her manager, lover, or her one night stands. She didn't respond that day and simply went to bed in tears. The next day, I get home to find her waiting for me. She told me that she wants to close the marriage, that this whole experience was a horrible mistake, that she regrets everything and wants us to focus on our relationship again. So this woman she wants to open the marriage. Her husband, so she hooks up with a whole bunch of random dudes. She hooks up with the manager who she said not to worry about. She does all of these things. And now when the husband gets attention from women, particularly this woman who makes him feel like a king, now she wants to close the open marriage. But no, madam, you've opened the floodgates. The damage has already been done. You have already completely ruined your relationship. And of course, she goes on to cry, and she's got the whole tears going and stuff like this. Absolutely hilarious. So she didn't respond that day and simply went to bed in tears. The next day I get home to find her waiting for me. She told me that she wants to close the marriage, that this whole experience was a horrible mistake, that she regrets everything and wants us to focus on ourselves, right? I told her to be honest with me and tell her what inspired all of this in the first place, and wouldn't you know it, it was her group of friends that planted the idea because of their numerous bedroom fun exploits. And when her manager came around, he surprisingly supported that lifestyle and encouraged my wife to live freely. So the manager encouraged it, and her little group of friends encouraged it, quote unquote friends. And of course, what does she do, guys? She decides to demand an open marriage. You got exactly what you asked for. You wanted the marriage to open, and you just wanted it to be open on your side. Apparently, it developed into an emotional affair. So that's the manager, that is, right? Apparently, it developed into an emotional affair, but she only got physical once the marriage opened. Apparently, wow, like that makes it better. He says. She described it as being intoxicated behind the wheel of a speeding car. It was thrilling and intoxicating, but the price of this decision has become too much for her to bear. Right? So the wife wants this guy to believe that this whole thing started because she had an emotional affair with the manager. Get the hell out of here. She cheated, and then she wanted to open the relationship, open the marriage. This is what a lot of these women do, man, is like, they do the cheating, and then they want to open the relationship or the marriage so that they can tell themselves that they didn't cheat on you because you would have been fine with it anyway. This is exactly what they do, man. Once a relationship is open, it's already over. It's completely done, especially marriages. These people who have their little I'm a polyamorous relationship enjoyer, right? I'm married and we're in an open relationship. Yeah, good luck with that, my man. We'll see how that goes for you. Absolutely no self-respect. Disgusting. Let's continue with the story. Where exactly are we up to, right? So she's saying how, the whole thing, it's become too much to bear. She sees now that she never needed a comparison, or a companion rather, that what we had was truly unique and special, but now she feels like she murdered our marriage and any chance of a life together. I told her I might not be able to ever see her as my wife again, and this made her break down in front of me. I simply held her in silence as she cried until she fell asleep in my arms on the couch. Yeah, the marriage is completely and absolutely over. And you can thank the woman for that. You can also thank the man for agreeing, like the complete clown that he is. Why on earth men to agree to these things absolutely confuses the hell out of me. They want to keep their wife happy, or they want to keep the relationship together. But the fact of the matter is the woman is trying to sabotage it. And if somebody wants to sabotage the relationship, what's the point of having it in the first place? She has since left her job and cut contact with all of her quote-unquote friends and her manager, and even told me she's willing to spend the rest of her life making it up to me and work her fingers to the bone to be seen as my wife by me, but I haven't cut contact with my lover, he says. So this woman is pulling out everything, right? She's saying, yeah, I cut off contact with all of them, the manager, the friends. I guarantee you she would return to the manager, by the way. These women who cut off these guys and say, I want to be loyal to you. they always go back to that guy. They always, always, always end up going back to the man that they cheated on you with, guys. If you are with a cheater, or you are with one of these women who wants to have an open marriage or an open relationship, they will always go back and hook up with some dude. Every single time, man. Don't accept cheaters. Don't accept people who want open relationships. So she says that, she'll make it all up and everything, but this guy's like, nah, I found a different woman and she treats me better. So he says, my lover, quite frankly, makes me feel like a man, like I can challenge the world, and my wife hasn't in a while. Truth is, I don't know what to do in this situation. I would love to get the special feeling back if possible, but my lover basically saved me when I was at my lowest. Please help me, the man says. Right? So guys, that's the end of the story right there. A classic story of a man with no boundaries and a woman who is for the streets, and it basically goes exactly as you would expect. I don't like either of these people. I don't like the wife, and I don't like the husband. That's my take on the matter. This whole marriage should discontinue immediately, and both of these people should have some self-reflection about how awful they are. That is my thoughts. Guys, we're going to be leaving the episode there, so don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Do you guys enjoy the story type episodes, or would you prefer more videos? Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.